report Clinton supporter paid $500,000 for Trump accusers. Clinton supporter paid $500,000 for Trump accusers. A top Clinton donor offered to pay $500,000 to get sexual harassment accusers to come forward against Donald Trump before the election, while another top Democrat operative offered $200,000, a new report reveals. The revelation was buried in a story published by the New York Times on Sunday titled "Partisans, Wielding Money, Begin Seeking to Exploit Harassment Claims." The story's angle was that both sides might be suborning false accusers to come forward with money. However, the big news was buried deep in the piece when it was described how Lisa Bloom, the attorney daughter of Gloria Allred, went to a Clinton-allied super PAC to ask for money to vet a potential sexual harassment accusation against then-candidate Trump. That case collapsed 1 week before Election Day, but as a result of the attention it generated, several donors reached out to Ms. Bloom asking how they could help, she said. She told them that she was working with a few other women who might find the courage to speak out against Mr. Trump if the donors would provide funds for security, relocation and possibly a safe house, the Times reported. The story cited the involvement of liberal activist David Brock. Ms. Bloom would not identify the donors. But two Democrats familiar with the arrangements said a nonprofit group founded by Mr. Brock, American Bridge 21st Century Foundation, gave $200,000, while the fashion entrepreneur Susie Tompkins Buell, a major donor to Mr. Brock's suite of groups, gave $500,000 to Ms. Bloom's firm for the last-ditch effort. In other words, $700,000, including $500,000 from the founder of Esprit Clothing, was funneled through the man behind Media Matters for America to try and find accusers willing to come forward and make allegations against Donald Trump. The story claims that the effort was not productive. One woman requested $2 million, Ms. Bloom said, then decided not to come forward, the story read. Nor did any other women. Instead, Bloom told the Times she gave back most of the cash, merely retaining some funds to pay for our out-of-pocket expenses incurred during the vetting process. She also claims that none of the money went toward her legal fees, nor was the Clinton campaign appraised on any of this. Her out-of-pocket expenses apparently totaled $200,000, since Democrats familiar with the financial arrangements said Ms. Bloom's firm kept the money from American Bridge but refunded the money from Ms. Buell. It doesn't cost anything to publicly air allegations, Bloom told the Times. Security and relocation are expensive and were sorely needed in a case of this magnitude, in a country filled with so much anger, hate and violence. As always, the onus is always on those horrid conservatives who are filled with so much anger, hate and violence. And, according to the Times article, they're just as guilty of soliciting sexual harassment accusers. In November, the Trump-backing social media agitator Mike Cernovich offered to pay $10,000 for details of any congressional sexual harassment settlements and said on Twitter that he would cover the expenses of any victim of a congressman who wants to come forward to tell her story, the story read. Wow! That's a whole 1/70th of what Hillary Clinton's surrogates were willing to pay. Stop those presses. That, by the way, appeared one paragraph after the bombshell about the secret effort to coax accusers to come forward with money was introduced, which was 7 paragraphs into the story to begin with. As usual, the Times is burying the real story. That being said, the truth will always come forward, and it's much like we had expected all along. The Democrats were willing to pay to orchestrate Donald Trump's destruction. And they wonder why America didn't trust them enough to elect Hillary Clinton.